How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here and welcome back to the latest update news for World of Tanks console, and we're back with what's coming as the final chapter or the final act of Metalfest, which has been going on for the last 2 weeks, I guess, or quite, to be honest, longer than that. But essentially what we've been getting is separated into 3 different acts. Of course, Metalfest Act 3 is Iron Maiden, and that is going to be the last headliner, obviously Wargaming saying that, which means that we are going to be seeing Iron Maiden in the game, which is cool. It's going to be an interesting one to see, and they're of course bringing in 2 new vehicles that you can see on screen right here. Now, you can see that we have this one, which looks like a Chieftain, and we've got this one, which looks like a T55A or a T55 variant of one of the tanks in the game. This one looks almost like you've got your AVRE style with this giant frontal spaced armor that you can see right here. And of course, looks pretty cool in all other regards. And I mean, the skins on these are really nice to see. But essentially, what have Wargaming got for these vehicles? What are they supposed to be? What tier, what era, etc. have we got? Well, the Amalad, or that is what they're saying, is a matter of life and death, which is the one on the left here. This one is saying that the Amalad combines the turret of the T72A, the gun of the Chieftain Mark 6, and the hull of the FV4015 Centurion Mark 9 to form a new behemoth, one that treads through battle after battle with neither mercy nor remorse to show any opponent in its path. So we're going to be seeing a brand new tank coming into the game, one that we haven't actually already seen, or even a variant of the same sort of tank that isn't skinned or whatever it might be, which is cool. And of course that would be an interesting one to test out, given that it has the turret of the T72A. Now, what I would assume is that this tank is going to be introduced in Cold War, given that there's the T72A, but we never know. Wargaming could pull out an absolutely brilliant balancing feature, which is bringing this Cold War turret into the World War II mode. Hopefully that doesn't happen and we end up getting just the standard tanks, but you never know. It's Wargaming, they could do whatever the hell they want, let's be real here. But either way, with that out of the way, what else do we have for the update this week? Well, of course, we've then got the Senjutsu, which developed in 1956 and produced until 1962. The TO-55 mounted an ATO-200 flamethrower next to its 100mm main gun. So we're going to be seeing a flamethrower vehicle, and it also has a tribute to Iron Maiden album, given the Senjutsu title, same name, with details that evoke the symbolic gear of the tactically minded samurai and burnished weather armor that bears the marks of battle, which you can see here. So yeah, I mean, this tank probably going to be an interesting one to play, and I would expect maybe this is a tier 10 or a tier 9 vehicle in World War II, given the era of the tank in 1956 to 1962. Whether they're going to technically count as World War II, since there's loads of tanks that just don't match up, or whether both of these are in fact going to be Cold War vehicles. So I usually would say that one of them is going to be a World War II vehicle and one of them is a Cold War one. That's what they usually do, but you never know, they could pull out a blinder and just introduce 2 new Cold War vehicles. So it's going to be interesting to see. And of course, when they do come out, I will do a full review of both of the vehicles for you guys. That will hopefully be interesting. And we can get into the sort of how to play them, what sort of things you want to be adding into them. But yeah, hopefully going to be a good one to try out. But also, there's going to be a 3D Eddie. Keep an eye out for him next week. Don't forget, send in your question for Friday's next Friday, which is essentially the developer stream. And the reason for that is because there's always the Q&A that Wargaming do, which is always an interesting one to take a look at, which is something we always like to cover because it gives you an idea of what the timeline, what sort of things that Wargaming are trying to do over the next few kind of months and of course weeks and stuff like that. So first things first is, can we get an indicator on screen for the WZ-122 so we can see which side of the tank the rocket is being fired out of? Now, this is because there's two kind of sides at which the rocket could get fired out of. And so essentially it's just saying, can we actually see which side it's going to be fired out of? Because you could forget or whatever, and it could be annoying. But I'm assuming what happens is it comes out of one or the other side, dependent on where or how many rounds you've actually fired or how many missiles you've actually fired. So yeah, that'd be interesting. So Wargaming said, we understand you could be peeking a corner and then your rocket fires from the wrong side and hits the wall. Funnily enough, we're doing a lot of active testing with the year-long reward, the Calliope, whatever you want to call it, basically the Sherman with the giant missile launchers. So we've got some hands-on experience, and because it has the potential to fire a lot of rockets from various tubes, we've been running into the issue of firing from one side. So we're looking into the mechanics a little further. Next one is the Leclerc engine sounds more like a Leopard 2, so is there plans to add a helicopter engine noise to it? So, I mean, it's not on the radar yet, but we can certainly take a look. That's usually Wargaming's response for something that they don't really want to do because it's going to take too much time. So I don't expect that they'll do a whole lot about that. Can we expect to see a new map added to the monster mode in October? So it's a little too soon for us to talk about Halloween, but I will say yes, stay tuned. So this could be interesting. I'd like to see them just introduce the Prokhorovka map that they had previously, because that was interesting, where they actually made a town on the top of Prokhorovka. I'd love for that to actually be what they do in the normal mode, where they offer some form of artillery cover, or just to make the map a little bit different. I feel like Prokhorovka is kind of a boring one on console. It's very much just you get spotted, you get taken out, and hopefully you can avoid getting spotted for as long as possible, and then of course try and deal some damage in that period of time. But yeah, I mean, a new map would be cool for the October game mode, which is the Halloween mode. For those of you that don't know, it comes out every year, and it's essentially like full of kind of ability tanks that you can use, which are your monster hunter tanks, which are essentially a variety of premium tanks get like unleashed, where they have like special abilities in the game mode, not on the normal maps, just in the game mode. So that's always cool to try out and get your hands on, and usually you can get one of them for free as well. So you can usually get one Monster Hunter tank for free during every single Halloween, which is how I managed to get a ton before I ever ended up purchasing any with gold. Now you can port over old maps on PC. Could you port over some removed maps such as Stalingrad? Yes, it's very possible. Stalingrad is the one that we can take a look at, and if we feel it makes sense, then we can certainly bring it in. So they've already reviewed a subset of PC maps, so we have a group in mind of what we're going to work on next. So that's cool. Can we have similar bounce sounds to one similar to pre 6.0? We understand many people want old sounds, some people like new sounds, and it would be great if we could have a mixture of both as options. We could maybe do something where every time you load the game, it uses a specific group of sounds, so this could cut down on the memory, as we're running red lines in terms of memory. I would love to add audio adjustability in the future, so that would be cool, but unfortunately they just can't do it. Will we get any new mercenary tanks for World War II or Cold War? Stay tuned, that's all I've got for now, which means that there is going to be something coming soon, and I assume that they'll be bringing some stuff out. One of the tanks that we've got this week is essentially a mercenary tank with a hybrid of various different tanks all jumbled into one. So that's, I guess that could be counted as one. I don't know if it would be classed as one, but it is what it is. Is there any way to acquire past seasons ultimate tanks? Yes, we give a time frame after a season is wrapped up, and over time there will be opportunities to either purchase those tanks or earn them again. So that's always cool. So essentially you can go back and you can either, purchase the levels that you require to get to the tanks, or you can just purchase the tank again at full price, which is obviously very expensive and the one that you don't want to do, but it is an option. Would it be possible to have one large Cold War map added into World War II rotation on a monthly basis? Well, I wouldn't do it on a monthly basis, but maybe in some sort of event mode, or we could change up map rotations on a weekend. But there's a lot of concern on Cold War maps going into World War II. Stay tuned, because next season there will be a Cold War map that will be getting a border changes, and added back to World War II. So I'm assuming that might be that central town, the central desert map. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm thinking that could potentially be it, which would be cool. Not Scorpion Pass, but the other one, although maybe Scorpion Pass will be coming into World War II again. I know you've changed the 6th Sense audio notification sound, so could you add a setting to make it louder? They've talked about making an option, and it could be in the horizon, but it's not going to happen this instant. So there's a lot of stuff that Wargaming want to do. I can almost guarantee it. Like, the developers would love to do these UI changes and stuff, but you just know that a lot of it is going to be forced by profit and profit margins and trying to make money, because obviously developing a whole load of UI changes doesn't make them any money directly. Obviously it makes the game better, which means people will stay on longer and potentially spend more money, but at the end of the day it doesn't create direct profit like a premium tank does, which is not what I'm saying is a good way to just run a business, where you're just producing stuff to sell constantly and never providing much value to the customer. But at the end of the day, yeah, there's got to be a mix of both, and I think Wargaming are kind of doing this, but they could do a little bit better. But yeah, it just depends on budgets and stuff like that, is what I would expect, is as to why we're not getting all of the sound changes, some of the graphics like updates, and like just things that we could have in the game, just like even things in the garage that would be nice. We just don't tend to get them because I just don't think they earn enough money and budget enough for that, which kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. The next one, would it be possible to improve the gun audio by adding an echo sound similar to PC? It is possible, and it's actually in the works, so this is something they're actually doing. It's one of the slower development features that have been simmering on the stove for a while now. The way we're doing it is the proper way, where we can ray trace the distance between the tank and the surface and figure out the factors that would trigger multi-tab delay effect. It's a huge labour time sink, but it's definitely on our radar. We have someone to go through every map to tag every reflective surface, so it's a lot of work. So yeah, I mean, it's something that they're doing. As I say, it's probably like something they do on a Friday afternoon when they run out of things and they don't want to start a huge new something or project that they need to kind of work on, so they just do it in the background, as opposed to, you know, spending a bunch of time like doing a solid like 4 weeks worth of work on just doing the audio. I expect that's kind of what's been going on. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll be seeing some more stuff that's good. In terms of UI features, stuff that's like user friendly, just basically making our experience better, because it's been a while since we've got a load of updates that are kind of would help us out in terms of the general stuff on World of Tanks. But I feel like we're in an okay place anyway right now. There's just a few like snagging issues with like some of the stuff that would be cool. And of course, some of the main things that we could do with is just something else to play, or like in terms of like some other incentive to play other than just, you know, playing a game to try and have a good game. Like, you know, some sort of challenge system or something, or reward system that you get for playing a little bit more would be nice. And I feel like it would keep people hooked onto the game, and of course, trying to get that prestige of having some of the stuff unlocked that other people don't have. But yeah, hopefully you guys have kind of understood what the gist of Wargaming's answers were, and hopefully got a response from me as to what I think they're trying to say, or at least something useful, or just being critical of some of the stuff that they're saying. But let me know what you guys think, because I'm just one person. Obviously, you guys know that, and hopefully it's been an interesting one. But of course, there's one final thing that Wargaming have, which is these war tags. Essentially, they are kind of physical keepsakes, or is what they're saying, and mementos from the seasons that are part of the Resolutions event. So they are, of course, physical items. You can purchase them off of the Wargaming store, and you do have to purchase them. But essentially, they're pretty cool. They are $15 plus shipping and any applicable taxes. They look like this. They'll come in a big metal box with 2 tags, or with the seasons on them, depending on what you buy, etc. They'll have whatever you've bought in there, and they will just come with a kind of essentially a commemorative item with a little chain. So yeah, they're probably not something you would necessarily go around the street wearing, but yeah, I mean, it's cool for if you want to have a more experience at home, or just if you want something to kind of hang on your wall in your man cave or whatever it might be, or your woman cave, whatever you have, then yeah, it would be something kind of cool. And hopefully I'll be able to pick up some myself, and we'll probably drop it in the back. I'm going to try and update the background because obviously I've changed my setup at the minute, and we're going to work on seeing what we're actually going to do with it, because yeah, the green screen was kind of annoying me. I'm not going to lie. It was just getting in the way everywhere. And yeah, it's just a pain. But we're going to try and change it, make it more interesting behind me, other than just a cupboard with all the storage in. But yeah, it should be interesting. And hopefully you did enjoy this video. Let me know what you think about all of the update news that we've covered today. And of course, if you have any comments, any questions, or anything that you can think of, leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll try my best to answer them. And of course, you guys will always answer each other's comments as usual. And you guys are awesome. Thank you very much. And hopefully you'll join me back tomorrow, where we'll have a brand new video. And I'll see you there. Goodbye.